Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Doing well, how are you?
Good. My name's Spencer Brown, and I'm a firefighter paramedic for Shelby County Fire Department. And this course we'll be covering today is search and rescue. It's a very brief lecture we'll be doing today. Some small PowerPoint slides.
Unit 71. Move up to station
We're
71.
filming at a fire station today. Excuse the background noise. So we'll kind of jump right into it. Can somebody just give me a description of search and rescue, what it means to y'all, or what maybe you think it means, what it entails?
Searching for people and saving them.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I mean,
Good job.
very good, Chris. But it's basically just that, searching, you're locating people in distress and rescuing them from a situation of danger, taking them to a safe place. So, and it's priority on an emergency scene. It takes priority in operations on any emergency. Search and rescue does. There we go. So the class objectives, we're gonna, like I said, go through a couple PowerPoints and just cover some key factors of search and rescue, given it's such a broad topic and can't fit it all into 20 minutes. But then at the end, we're gonna do a test, so pay attention. It'll be a very simple test at that. But we'll also do a skills exercise demonstrating a two-person extremity carry for rescue. So coordinating search and rescue. Firefighters must plan and coordinate all activities to support search and rescue. They may need to be controlled before search and rescue can begin. We're going to start with your search and rescue size up. You're pretty familiar, we do size ups when we show up to any incident, any structure fires, we're going to conduct a size up. In this case, we're going to be conducting a size up for search and rescue, which will be evaluating your critical factors and developing a plan to that backs up those factors. So your factors for search and rescue are going to start with your risk to benefit analysis. When you arrive on scene, you're going to look at your scene you have and determine whether or not you're willing to risk your life to go in to save other lives, and if there is, life of sustainable circumstances. In the risk-benefit analysis, it's broken down into three categories of high risk. For high risk, it means you'll risk a lot to save lives. If there's, tenable space, or limited risk is what we'll be willing to risk for valuable property to others. We're not going to risk a whole lot to go in and save something that may mean something to someone else, unless it's a life at stake. No risk means there's no chance to save lives. There's no chance that anybody could possibly survive in certain circumstances. Whenever you pull up on scene, you'll be able to kind of recognize that, judging the percentage of involvement on a house fire, smoke conditions, certain things like that. You'll be able to kind of judge whether or not if any of it is livable space, and if you're willing to risk anything to go in there. With that being said, it can be misleading sometimes. We arrive on scenes and you'll see smoke coming through the roof or something, or heavy fire coming through the roof, and it looks like a heavy fire load, which it may be the case, but it also may just be an attic fire, and you're not really able to tell until you conduct a full 360 during your size up, get a full aspect of the house and what's really going on. And then your incident commander will have to, make an ultimate decision whether or not he wants to send anybody in for this search and rescue. And it's also kind of hard to make that decision not being inside, because like I said, it was misleading, and you don't really know the conditions of those rooms until you go inside and really know what the condition of the house is. Kind of moving on a little bit, occupancy factors is your second phase of the critical factors of search and rescue. What are some things that we might look at when we arrive on scene that would determine if the house is occupied, or if there could be a potential rescue? Cars in the drive? Okay. What are some other factors you might be observing?
We're thinking about the time of day.
Time of day, right. So time of day, cars in the driveway, toys in the yard, mailboxes full, stuff like that. Also office spaces, commercial buildings, during the week, during business hours. Nightclubs, Friday, Saturday nights, during the weekend, that potential occupancy there. Third factor is going to be consider where occupants are likely to be located. 50% of occupants are found in their bedrooms whenever search and rescue commences.
No.
So we're for 5, 6 minutes in? Okay. Alright, I'll just cut this one. Alright, so consider where occupants are likely to be located. 50% of occupants involved in a search and rescue are found in bedrooms, near windows, doors, hallways, and statistics state that within 8 minutes, if we conduct a search and rescue and rescue somebody within 8 minutes of arrival, they have a 66% chance of survival. So still not very good, but time is of the essence for search and rescue. You gotta get in and get after it. So occupant information is a critical factor. If somebody escapes, manages to get out on their own when we get there, and we arrive and they say somebody's inside, I was just in there, I was able to get out. That is very useful information. They were just in there, they know the floor plan of the house, they can kind of give you some information that you can really use. Last but not least, you got building size and arrangement, meaning pre-fire plans that we do. If we have pre-plans or floor plans or something like that, that would be a really good key factor that we could look onto to determine where people may be or what the layout of the house may be, what kind of obstacles we may face. So. Just going over what I just talked about. So once you do your size up, you are ready for the next phase, which was going to begin your search. And like we talked about before we started, search is locating people that are in distress that need to be extricated into safety. So your next step is going to be develop a plan with your IC, who's going to ultimately make the decisions on the search party to go in and all that stuff. So to develop a plan, fire suppression and ventilation. Those operations on scene, are they gonna continue if you're doing a search and rescue, if you have a confirmed victim in there? What as far as other operations on the scene, how's that gonna go? Are they gonna cease, or you're gonna
It,
try to keep it
it
active.
kind of comes secondary, but your first thing is coming to be search and rescue, and everybody else will continue with fire suppression and
That's
ventilation.
right. And,
Second and third.
obviously search and rescue takes priority,
Yeah.
but given you have the manpower, fire suppression, ventilation can aid you tremendously in search and rescue. It might even be the factor that saves somebody's life. It could be a life maybe saved just by extinguishing the fire, or search and rescue could be sped up tremendously just by ventilation. If you vent the house and clear up all the smoke out of there, kind of reduce the heat, it might speed the whole process along. So once you develop a plan and you're going to decide, you're going to choose your entry point to start your primary search. So a primary search is you're going to go in and you're going to rapidly locate victims that need to be extricated to the exterior of the house. And when I say rapidly, you're going to still do a thorough search, but it's going to be quick, and you're going to assess common places that people maybe found, bedrooms, on top of beds, under beds, cribs, behind doors. Just those are common places that people are usually found. And so when you're doing that, you're going to go on your primary search. Your search begins where victims are at highest risk. So with that being said, your search should start in the immediate fire area if there's a rescue to be had. So you're going to go to the fire and kind of work your way out from there. The areas of most imminent danger would be, like I said, the immediate fire area, the above the fire, your fire floor first. So fire floor, above the fire, and then kind of work your way out from there. And then, of course, your secondary search is going to come in later, where once the incident is kind of stabilized, you're not completely out of harm's way, but once the incident is stabilized, you will go back in with a separate team, preferably, who did not do the primary search. The secondary team will go in to do the secondary, and that's done for accountability of all occupants. So back to your primary, your right and left hand search. What is it? It's say your right hand search. The purpose of it, you're going to go in the door, immediately turn right, follow the right hand wall. The objective is to stay on the wall until you come back to your entry point, covering everything on the right side. It's primarily done with a team of 2 or 3, preferably 2, which you'll stay in contact how?
At least voice.
At least voice. So yeah, it really kind of varies with your conditions and what you're in. If you have low visibility conditions, you'll probably want to stay in physical contact. But it's voice, touch, or sorry, I just said that all wrong. Was it voice, feel, and
Tag, can you do tag rope, like the tag load? Is there a third one?
Pretty much, I think with voice as far as you.
anyways. All right, yeah. So on your search, teams of 2, you're gonna want to stay in contact with your partner, judging on the conditions of the room you're searching. And so after you've searched in the common spots where people may be found, you're gonna want to notify the incident commander when either your search is complete or you've come across a victim. And once you verbalize that over the radio, say you found a victim, your incident commander becomes aware of that. You let them know where you found them, and they can go ahead and start preparing for a rescue. Because a rescue doesn't start until obviously a victim is found. I just want to, just while we're on this topic here, I want to go ahead and cover VEIS or VES, formerly VES. Does anybody know what that stands for? VEIS stands for Vent, Enter, Isolate, Search. Formerly known as Vent, Enter, Search. They recently really started stressing the isolate part. So if you arrive on scene of a house and you don't have a water supply, you're a first-in truck company on scene, and there's you think there's a confirmed entrapment in a, let's say, a second story Alpha Delta division. And what VEIS is, Vent, Enter, Isolate, Search. Technically, you would take a ladder, throw it to that window, climb up, ventilate the house by opening the window, and after doing that, you're going to look in and immediately see if you have anybody underneath the windowsill where you think you might have an entrapment. And before you crawl in, you want to clear all the debris out of the windowsill. Make sure you don't have any glass shards or anything that you can cut yourself in on going in or coming out. Before going in, you want to sound that floor after you check for possible victims. Once you go in, and your next objective is to isolate. So when you do that, even if you see a victim there, you notate where that victim is, go to your door, shut the door, isolate yourself from the fire, and come back, get the victim, and that's when you'll start the extrication. So I just wanted to cover that real quick. Once you do your primary search and you come across your victim and you start your rescue, there is multiple different means of rescue and methods to rescue, as far as assists and drags, carries, ladder rescues. Your assists are going to be coming across somebody that is conscious, awake, ambulatory, and you'll just kind of help them out, help them walk out of the house. You can do a one person or a two person assist, helping somebody out of the house. Your drags can be emergency drags, such as blanket drags or just clothes drags, where you'll basically kind of just grab somebody and drag them straight out by their clothes or wrap them in a blanket. Also, we carry some webbing. You can do webbing drags, wrap around their torso. And it's a pretty effective way for a single firefighter to get somebody out who's unconscious in tight spaces. Your carries, we've got the cradle and arms, good for pediatric small patients or elderly patients. Pretty easy for one firefighter to handle. Ladder rescues, if at all possible, you really want to avoid coming out via ladder, unless it's absolutely necessary. If you are confined to one space where your only means of egress is a window and you have to come out, then it's completely understandable. But if you have other means of egress, as far as interior staircase or something like that, then it really reduces the risk of injury for the firefighter and or the victim at that point in time coming out a ladder, because it is very dangerous. So today we will be talking about the two-person firefighter carry, extremity carry. Like I said, we'll do a skills portion of it and have somebody come up and demonstrate. But before we do that, is there any questions as far as search and rescue? The initial size up, your primary, secondary search, anything? Any questions up to this point? Alright, so before we get into the skills, I'm just going to do a quick overview of some of the key points that we covered. Search and rescue is the highest priority in the emergency scene operations. Search and rescue must be integrated with other firefighting activities. Why?
Because it could help.
Yeah, it could help.
Benefit and aid in search and rescue.
There you go.
Maybe.
Right. Search and rescue, size up is critical to formulate a plan, judging by what you come across during your size up, your 360, it helps you formulate and attack a plan that you come up with to rescue possible victims. Purpose of primary is to locate occupants in greatest danger. Like we said, you're gonna start at where the fire is because they are in the most immediate danger and work your way out from there. Your secondary, what we talked about is the purpose of it is to ensure all occupants are accounted for, and it must be done by a separate team. And reason being is it just helps to have a second set of eyes on it. You know, the first team already did the primary search, and chances are higher if they go back to do the secondary that they'll miss something because they've already looked it over. So, all right, can we get two of y'all to do we'll get all of us up here and we'll do the extremity, 2 firefighter extremity left. I can put the PowerPoint up just to kind of go over it real quick. So here it is. The firefighter in the back is going to get behind the victim, help him sit up, and the second firefighter will come back in between the legs and lift from underneath the knees, and all instruction will be given from the firefighter in the back.
So who we live?
You and Chris can lift you.
Where am I going?
Yeah. Chris disappeared.
He said he had a body break.
Can you lie down?
Come on, Chris.
So
I need help.
Do I have to lay down? Alright, I'll lay down. Help, falling and I can't get up.
I found somebody just.
Oh, alright, I'll help with the legs.
What So he said,
Do you have to do that?
"Are you okay?"
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Checked it out. So we're gonna sit you up. We'll have you cross your arms. I'm gonna grab your wrist. Hold on, I guess I gotta grab her wrist. I gotta grab your wrist like this, some kind of way. And we're gonna lift her on the count of 3. 1,
Chris.
2, 3.
You have to
You
go
gotta turn
backwards.
around and go.
Alright.
Not like that. 1,
I'm scared.
2, 3. Get on the knee.
Here's some light.